Okay, I'm sorry. I really wanted that to be one take, but it's just the memory on my phone. I can't. I was like talking for too long. Um, but yes, I do believe that if we are able to identify those stuck and stagnant points, I'm gonna keep this here because I'm feeling a bit bloated. Okay, don't at me. Just like this is my little safe space. And I'm wearing a really tight shirt, but um, you know the the things that we're yearning for the most really come down to true connection. And when we can start identifying, where that stuckness or that stagnancy is, I think that's where we will come into alignment with that connection. So that's another point I wanted to make, is just like park that for now. Not being enmeshed in the problem frequency, not being enmeshed in the frequency of distrust and disharmony and dis-ease, but more so what is the frequency of the solution. And that's why I wanted to identify earlier on that, like, there is the pillar of pain, there is the pillar of distraction, there is the pillar of despondency and disconnection, and then there is this pillar of vitality and well-being and freedom and authenticity, and unity and harmony and all of those things. So just really understanding how that all plays a role on that spectrum. And another thing is, I was like, okay, when I first like started really going internally. When I'm saying internally, I'm talking about like really getting into my self practices, my meditations, my yoga, really embodying these states, really understanding, connecting with my ancestors, connecting with my spirit guides. Like I was like, this is bliss, this is bliss, this is euphoric, this is amazing, this is beautiful. And I was like, what is shadow work? Carl Jung, my self righteous ass. I'm like, self righteous? Why don't you? I was like, Carl Jung, what do you mean about the shadow? Why you gotta be such a negative Nancy, Carl? You know, like literally, that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, shadow, shadow, shadow. Everyone's talking about shadow. Like, let's talk about love and light and positivity and da da da. And I wasn't trying to bypass, but maybe I was. But there is some senses of spiritual bypassing for sure. And it's important to properly integrate the light and the shadow. And there are going to be phases, there are going to be seasons where you're going to just be so on fire with life, and you're going to be like, ah, nobody's going to stop me. Nobody's going to stop me, not even myself. And then there's going to be times where you're going to be like so low, and you're like, holy shit, I didn't know it was possible to deal with this type of grief, to deal with this shame, this loneliness, this feeling of misunderstanding. Had no idea. Had no idea I could like feel 10 generations of trauma, intergenerational trauma, through these somatic ways of being. But here we are. There's another butterfly. There's been like 5 butterflies that passed by me. Okay, guys, like I'm feeling great, feeling good about it. But yeah, but back to the shadow work. I feel like it's so important to not just get stuck in one, because we can get stuck in one of those ways of being. We can be like, oh, everything is love and light and beautiful and blah, 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 abundance, blah, blah. And yeah, that's great. But to balance it with also understanding that there is pain and there is sorrow and there is misunderstanding in the world and there is all this heartbreak that happens too. But how do you make meaning of it? How do you truly make meaning of it and feel through it and pass by it through this wave, through this like cyclical journey? It's gonna be one hell of a ride, let me tell you. Imagine there was a ride at Wonderland, Canada's Wonderland, where it's just like you are gonna go on the ride of your lifetime through all the depth of your experience, and just gonna go through. We're gonna go through the pain. We're gonna go through the glory. We're gonna go through the sadness. We're gonna go through the pleasure, all the things, and you're just like, holy shit! Do I have to? Do I have to do this? Is there a liability form? Like, it's consent I need to apply here? Definitely need a consent form for that. But um, I'll leave it at that. I do think there was a part of me years ago where I was like, okay, I don't know what the shadow is. Poo poo the shadow. But I really know now. I really do. Like, it's possible to experience all of this. And it can also be possible to experience it vicariously as well, not just through your experience, but through other people's experience, because we are all interconnected. We do have this collective consciousness. And like what my mom is feeling, what my grandmother's feeling, what my dad is feeling, what my brother's feeling, all these things, like they all reside within us as well. And it's just how we choose to connect and how we choose to tune our energy and our focus. On the same realm, we are sometimes not able to recognize our own blind spots. And I think that's where relationships come into play, right? That's where the relationships really come to the forefront to help us recognize our blind spots, to help walk each other home. walk us home to ourselves, to really unveil the truest essence of who we are. And sometimes we're not honoring that. And sometimes we get into relationships or friendships or acquaintanceships or situationships with people that just constantly reveal an older version of ourselves, or a stagnant version of ourselves, or a part of us that just is not feeling like being blossomed or vibrant or expressing its truest authenticity. And I really want you to question that. Are there people in your life that really show up for you in the realm of fear or anxiety or worry, or just not allow you to be the fullest version of yourself? And why is that? Really, why is that? Where does it limit your self-expression? Who's like why is it on somebody else to limit your self-expression? If it's your mom or your dad or your sister or your uncle, like, why can't you be the fullest version of yourself? I really want you to question that. And how does that interfere with your daily functioning? Because I think this all kind of ties back to addictions, because when you think about addictions, you're like, well, how, like, it's not a problem unless it starts interfering with your daily functioning, right? How does it start interfering with your relationships? How does it start interfering with your ability to connect with others? um, and I think that's wherein the distraction lies. That's wherein the distraction takes place, and what we're trying to kind of cover up, or envelop, or just kind of like steer clear of, so we don't have to feel that. What I want to really emphasize here, oh my gosh, I'm really in the sun. What I really want to emphasize here is that you can model this for yourself, no matter what happens in your life, no matter what kind of discord, incongruence, disconnection, disallowance, disharmony that you experience. You can always rewire. You can always, and it's harder, I know it's definitely harder when you have all these limiting beliefs, when you have all this clouded conditioning, when you have all these stories and narratives that you're telling yourself, but you can always rewire it. Every moment is a new moment. Every moment is a new moment. Every breath is a new breath. And you can completely change your mind. Like, and that's where, in the realm of psychedelics, in the realm of like different types of, somatic practices and modalities that help you better integrate that experience. I'm not saying all of those work for everybody, but some of those things will kind of just get you out of your own way, out of your own head, and stop intellectualizing these things and actually feel them. So I really want to know, like, is there something, leave a comment down below. Is there something that has interfered with your daily functioning? And don't be ashamed. You don't have to be ashamed. Like, it happens to me all the time. Is there something that has interfered with your ability to connect with other people? Feel free to let me know if you feel comfortable. And 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 I just want to, I don't know if I mentioned this already, but I feel like I did. There is an inner wisdom, and this is again tying back to cosmic compass. That inner wisdom, that inner guidance system that you have, that we all have, it comes from our heart. It comes from our heart, not from our mind. Our mind, yes, our ego has helped us survive in so many ways. It's helped us, get to the point that we're at, but it is not the master. Okay, it really isn't. Your heart is is the truest expression of you, is your truest essence. Your heart is what gives you the purity, that gives you the compassion, that gives you the just the love, this unconditional love. And that's why in so many like Vedic and yogic traditions, it's like you bow, and spiritual, oh my gosh, get off of me, dude. You are not welcome here. In so many um spiritual communities, it's like, well, when you bow, or even religious too, when you bow, your head is bowing to your heart. Rumi talks about this a lot. Rumi, the beautiful Rumi, the poet. um you're bowing to your heart, and that in essence is saying, like, your mind does not control you. It's not your mind, it's not your intellect, it's your heart. You leading with your heart is the greatest expression that you can have. And I think if we all just tune into that, if we always just tune into our heart and lead with our heart, the most beautiful things happen. And you believe in other people and you trust, because it's not from a place of like naivety, and it's not from a place of like, oh, you don't know better or whatever. It's like, no, that's freaking bold and brave and beautiful that you can do that, despite whatever things might have come in the way or challenged you or caused you to misinterpret that. Your head just remembered to like bows down to your heart. And I really try to live by that every single day. And so I just want to leave you with some prompts. I know this is really long already, but I want to leave you with some prompts, and just as an exercise, like more of like a forgiveness exercise. And this is one, was there ever a time where someone made you feel bad about being truthful about X? You can list that down below. You know, was there ever a time someone made you feel bad about being truthful about what? It could be about you, it could be about your experience, it could be about your inner dialogue, your inner landscape, it can be just, about how you presented, it could be anything. Has there ever been a time where someone made you feel that way? There's been plenty of times in my life, and I've definitely journaled on it and reflected on it, and that's why I'm posing it to you. How did that make you feel? How did it make you feel? Did you feel silly? Did you feel humiliated? Did you feel dismissed or invalidated that caused you to further disconnect? Right? Maybe there's a bully and someone just made you feel like shit and just said like, you are not worthy. You're just whatever, and said all these things, and then you internalize that, and then that became your dominant narrative in your head. I really want you to think about, how did that make you feel? Right? And did you allow yourself to feel that, and that become the truth of what you chose to express from there on out? Right? That happens a lot, right? We go through pain. We go through, like, someone maybe really close to us, or someone who really we trusted in, and really wanted to, you know, do well by, and be seen in a good light by, like, says something mean or invalidating, or did something to hurt us, and then just we internalize that. And some people internalize that for the rest of their lives. They do. They will, maybe 50, 60 years, and their whole life is geared towards that, or overcompensating because of that. So I just really want you to identify, because this can be a very, very powerful exercise if you truly, truly decide to go inward and understand. So that disconnection, really getting at the root of that disconnection. And then I want you to then question, what did you really yearn for in that moment? When you expressed that, when you said that, when, caused by whatever reaction, or whether it was yourself, maybe it was yourself that you opened up to, and you dismissed, and there was a lot of self-betrayal. I don't know. Could have been outwardly as well. But what did you really yearn for in that moment? What did you yearn for? Were you really yearning for closeness? Did you want to be seen? Did you want to be held or acknowledged? Did you want to be validated? Just be like, hell yeah, that makes sense why you feel like that. That was not right. Or yeah, that makes total sense. Why did you have to go through that? That's so unjust. Or, like, come here, sweetie. Let me hold you, or let me just, be there for you, and let's work through this together. Like, what did you really need in that moment? What did you yearn for in that moment? I promise you, it's probably going to come along the realms of connection in one way or another, some sort of connection. And just know that you can model this for yourself. You can always model this for yourself. And I'm pretty sure, I'm not like talking to a bunch of toddlers right now. I mean, maybe if I am, hello. It's not for kids, okay? This is not for kids, not for kiddos. But know that, if you're an adult right now, and like, there's probably so much conditioning that you've picked up along the way, but know that it's through affirmations, through repetition, through really reframing that dominant narrative that you have in your mind, that you can always model this for yourself. You can always model this for yourself, and that's what I'm trying to aim to do through this practice. And I want you to acknowledge that pain. I want you to close your eyes and go to that moment. Maybe pick one moment. It doesn't have to be a very traumatic moment, but just one moment. And go back to that moment and imagine just giving yourself this tightest embrace, the tightest squeeze. Like, you're looking at yourself as yourself now, and you're just looking at yourself in that moment that you experienced that disconnection. And I want you to just be like, I see you, and I honor your pain. I hold that pain. I see your pain, and I'm holding you right now, and I'm giving you the tightest embrace. I just want you to do that for yourself. And just really looking at yourself through the purity of, like, a mother looking at a newborn child, right? Like, you can always be that inner mother for yourself. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman or however you identify. Like, you can always be that parent for yourself. You can be that mother for yourself, that nurturing, warm, divine presence that's all within all of us. You can do that for yourself. So I just really want you to acknowledge that pain with so much compassion. That's what we really just need to feel. Never have to be stuck there. We're going to go through waves of it. I'm not saying that, like, if you're going through a very depressing time, doesn't mean it's not going to come back, but to know that you have these things at your disposal, that you can always hold yourself with compassion. And the more kind you are, the more kind you will be to those around you, and the more you'll be able to let people in, and the more you'll be able to exert that vulnerability and intimacy, because you know that nobody can impact that. No matter what, you have that sovereignty and that security within you. Even if it doesn't feel like it in this moment, you cultivate that over time. You cultivate it over time. And then with each new breath, I want you to give yourself permission. I really want you to give yourself permission to release yourself of that attachment to that pain. You've acknowledged it, you've seen it, you've held yourself, you've you've held on to it, right? It's not serving you any longer to hold on to that. You can release it. I want you to take that painful memory, that belief, that untruth, and I want you to let it go. Give yourself permission to let it go and forgive yourself, to really forgive yourself for tolerating that, for allowing it to come into direct experience, for sharing the message that it needed to share with you, right? So that you can go on your path. And can you forgive? Can you forgive the person that may have reflected that back at you? That might have reflected a truth at that time that you've carried for this long. Can you forgive that person? You might not right now, and that's okay. But I'm just saying, can you, just questioning, can you, but can you forgive yourself? The most important thing is that you forgive yourself. And just know I see you and I see that you are so worthy. Just know that you are so worthy and deserving of unconditional love at all times. It doesn't matter if you're performing or doing something you don't have to achieve, you don't have to strive. You are, no matter, you just being here, you just being, you are just deserving of unconditional love and acceptance and clarity and ease and compassion. And nobody can take that away from you. Nobody can take that away from you. And that it's nothing to be held on to, it's something to be felt, and that once you feel it, you can let it go. Just like everything, nothing is permanent. Nothing is permanent. Everything is impermanent. Just like a bad feeling, it can go away. Not that there's a bad feeling, but just like something that's not in connection, harmony with what you really want to experience or yearn for, that can go away, that can fall away, and you can forgive it. Let's all just take a deep breath in together and let it go. And know that nothing in this world needs to be attached to. Nothing needs to be attached to. You don't need to attach yourself to anything to prove yourself of being worthy of something. You are just simply accepted for just being here and loved for just being here. So I hope that can help. I hope that can kind of just release some of that like stagnant energy and for you to kind of identify some clear markers or benchmarks for where that might be, you know, propagated in your life, or where that might, reveal some incongruencies in your life and distractions, and know that you are always capable of dealing with it, always. Sending you so much love and grace.